Welcome back. This is Dr. James Patterson. This is a fifth video in this short series on academic writing, specifically writing the research papers for your junior and senior years at the university, your third and fourth years, and beyond. In this short video, I want to talk about outlining, and I've done other videos on outlining. I've done one that talks about sequence and format. I've done another that talks about the 7 rules of outlining, and those are available to you as well. But in this video, I want to do 2 things. I first want to talk about where outlining should fall within the spectrum or the process of the writing process. And then number 2, I want to talk about the differences between an informal outline, a formal outline, and what I would call a comprehensive outline. There are other authors out there that refer to it as an exhaustive outline. So I'll talk about those differences. But first, let me talk about outlining as a process within the writing process. I've looked at a number of different English composition textbooks over the years in preparing to teach my classes and to prepare these videos for you. And I've noticed that most textbooks fall into a general pattern of structure. They start with a chapter or multiple chapters talking about the pre-writing phase, the process where you discover your ideas, you arrange your ideas, you play with your ideas in preparation for drafting. And in about half of the textbooks I've looked at, the chapter on outlining falls immediately after the section on pre-writing. So the textbook authors are suggesting, simply by the layout of their textbook, that outlining is something that comes after you've done your pre-writing and your research and your materials. You got it all ready. After you do that, you outline before you start to draft. There are about the other half of the textbooks, though, I want to point out to you, include outlining in the chapter or chapters on the pre-writing phase, and the outlining is the last pre-writing piece that they talk about in their textbooks. So I want to make sure everybody has this picture in your mind. You do your research, you do your reading, you do your nets, you do your brainstorming, you do your listing, you do your mapping and your webbing and your bubbles and Venn diagrams, and then you do an outline before you start to draft. So that's where the outline belongs in the writing process. Okay? Let me take a moment now and talk about the differences between an informal outline, a formal outline, and a comprehensive outline. And I think you'll find that if you will follow my advice and do comprehensive outlining, you will find that the actual writing of your first draft is extremely easy and quick to do once you've done a comprehensive outline. So I've got a couple of outlines here on my screen. I'll switch over to Screencast to show you what's looking at on my computer. And the first thing I want to do is bring up a informal outline. Now this is an informal outline, and it begins with Roman numerals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each Roman numeral has a section heading. Why do students cheat? I need to pass this course. I need more time to study or finish assignments. Major cause of cheating, consequences of cheating. You'll see that the student also has an A for each section. And in sections 1 and 2, there are also A1 and 2 subdivision and section 2, A1 and 2. Now this is an informal outline. You'll notice that some things are complete sentences. Why do students cheat is a complete sentence. This class is not related to my major is a complete sentence. But lack of motivation is a term. Procrastination is a single word. Fear of failure, again, it's just a simple phrase. And so if I am an instructor looking at the student's outline, I really don't know what the student is thinking in terms of fear of failure. I need to pass this course is the section. Fear of failure, I can guess, might refer to needing to pass the course. But needing to pass the course is not fear of failure, and fear of failure is not needing to pass the course. So in this case, an informal outline is done with sentence fragments, phrases, keywords, etc. You'll also notice that the student has got an A without a B, another A without a B. That's an outlining error because each level of subdivision is subdividing into multiple parts. So when you go to 1A, there should be a 1B. So this is an informal outline. And there are times when using an informal outline will work perfectly to your purposes. The best time to use an informal outline is when you're doing an in-class or timed writing assignment. Let's say you're going in for a midterm or a final examination. You start off with 50 or 75 objective questions, multiple choice, fill in the blank, matching, etc. And then the professor gives you 3 prompts, says choose one of these prompts and write a short essay in response to the prompt you've chosen. That's a perfect time for that informal outline. It gives you an opportunity to quickly structure your ideas so that you can begin drafting, and the outline in simple keywords and phrases is sufficient because you're immediately going to the drafting phrase. So an informal outline does work for you, and that's where it works. Let me show you a formal outline so you can see the difference. In a formal outline, you'll see another essay is prepared along the same topic of academic cheating. This is a formal outline that is written in complete sentences. Now again, I have sections 1, 2, 3, and the student has identified that section 1 is the introduction. In a formal outline, we really don't need to have the introduction outlined because every paper or essay is going to have an introduction. What we do want to, though, capture is the thesis statement. That's the important piece that ties everything together in the paper. But once we move into the body of this formal outline, you'll see that the student is working in complete sentences. Section number 2 is the first body paragraph. First major cause of academic cheating is easily accessible, period. Section number 3 is the second body paragraph of the paper. The inadequacy of internal self-management is another cause of the academic cheating, period. So a formal outline is written in complete sentences, and a formal outline is typically going to be helpful to use for you when you are preparing to write a longer paper, not just a short in-class essay, but you're writing on a paper that's going to be anywhere from 3 to 5 to 10 pages. A formal outline is sufficient to get your ideas down, and you can keep that working. The purpose of writing everything in complete sentences is that then these sentences can be topic sentences in your paper. So under this second section, that says first major cause of academic cheating is easily available, we have at least 2 body paragraphs in that section. 1, the development of science and technology will create an environment that enables anyone to easily cheat. That's a paragraph. And paragraph number 2, it is easily exposed to the temptation to cheat by the flood of information. So again, I've got the topic sentences already written for the paper on academic cheating. Now that's pretty formal, there's a lot of information there, but I want to take you one step further because I teach an advanced composition course. And in the advanced composition course, I ask my students to do a comprehensive outline. So here, let me show you a comprehensive outline. Again, I don't need an introduction to it part of my outline, but I do need a thesis statement. In this particular paper, the thesis statement reads, "The internet negatively influences adolescents' mental health, physical health, and social skills." Now you'll notice that in section 1, which is the first major portion of the paper, and in section 2, which is the second major portion of the paper, the student has not written in complete sentences. They're just using key phrase, social media impact, online gaming impact. But you'll notice then when we get into the A's and B's that the student does start writing in complete sentences. Adolescents are more prone to low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. Popular social media accounts portray unrealistic images of the human body that lowers self-esteem of teens. But then take a look at section B, and I want you to see where this becomes a comprehensive outline. The student has done her homework. She has looked at an article by Ayesen Horzum published in 2013, and from the paragraph 6, she's taken this quote, "Internet snatches away individual from social life and limits real social relations, therefore people are lonelier. causes youngsters to experience difficulties in interpersonal relationships. So the student has already been doing research by the time she starts to do her outline, and because she has research already, she builds that research into her comprehensive outline. Now this is the key here, because she now has quoted material in her outline, so she has to have a parenthetical reference, and that has to take me to a bibliography at the end of the paper. So a comprehensive outline includes research, it includes quoted material, paraphrased material, summarized material, but then it also includes a bibliography of where those materials came from, so that it's easy then for the student, when putting together the first full draft of the paper, to easily transition from a comprehensive outline to a first full draft. Okay? Informal outlining, formal outlining, and comprehensive outlining, particularly when you get to the university for your junior and senior years. Once you start writing papers of 12 to 15 pages or longer, the comprehensive outline is a wonderful, valuable tool in preparing to pull all your materials together in preparation for the first draft. Great. Thank you.